my name is Tamira Hamilton. As Luba has said, first of all, I want to thank Martha Alexander for referring me to Luba for everything and getting this scheduled and put together, and Neil for founding such a dynamic organization. I really feel at home, and so I thank you all for your hospitality and your openness to have me here today. As was mentioned, I have over 30 years of sales, marketing, and leadership experience. I had the fortunate um, liberty of being able to work on a major consumer brand 2 weeks right out of high school. And I just have not stopped since then. I absolutely love marketing, and I hope that comes through today in our presentation here. You can find me here. There's my email where I am on Facebook and Instagram. My SMS text number is no longer that. I should probably change that out. Here, I can change that while we are here. Okay. So I have worked in a variety of industries. I've worked in consumer, I've worked business to business, I've worked in travel, I've sold computers and peripherals, I've worked in banking and finance. I've even been Series 6 and 63 licensed over my past 30 years. And the number one thing I've always enjoyed doing is crafting messaging to pull customers in and get customers to ring the phone to look for and seek out what it is that I have to offer. But I also am very skilled at outbound, because there are times when you want to do outbound, which is you seeking or quote unquote hunting the customer. But hunting should never feel like hunting. You don't want them to ever feel like they've been hunted. Okay. And then I've also, my favorite is to pull them in. And so we're going to talk about both of those today. So I'm going to switch over to this here. And are you able to see this new table here with magnetized and mobilized? Okay. So what I do with my clients is I help them, just to back up a little bit, 10, 12 years ago, I walked away from an over 20 plus year corporate career. Okay. Because I really wanted to take advantage of social media, and I saw the potential of social media. I understood that at that time, Facebook had 1 billion global users, and it would allow me to be able to serve people outside of my quote unquote geographical footprint, that I would be able to work with people all over the world, people that I otherwise would not be able to work with. And I saw that vision and grabbed onto that vision very early on. Okay. And with my background in sales and marketing, I knew that at some point I would be helping others with their sales and marketing using social media marketing. And that came to pass in 2013. And since then, I have collected tens of thousands of dollars in leads, sold over $500,000 in physical products. I have worked with hundreds of clients. I was looking at my client list the other day, and I was just amazed. And how many of those clients have referred me to other people? In fact, that is why I am sitting here today. So what I really like to tell my customers and clients is that what I'm going to help you do is take a complete stranger on the internet, and you're going to be able to make them fall in know, like, and trust with you, become a customer, and not only become a customer or a client, but become a net promoter. So they are doing a lot of the heavy work of marketing for you, that you don't have to do it. Okay. And what I want to talk to you today about is how to do that without you feeling like, oh my God, where am I going to find the time to do this? I am a divorce transition professional. I am a coach. I am a mediator. How am I going to find the time to do this on top of doing what it is that I already do? Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to burn you out, and we don't want to generate a bunch more work than what you already have. And the modus operandus that I have with my clients and in my own business is, you are the brand, you are the content, you are the algorithm. And what does that mean? It means that your marketing should be natural, effortless, and fluid. So if you just got off of a case or even a call, you can take the information of what just transpired in that call and you can record a short video or write up a short post. Now, what's the first rule that you want to follow? You need to de-identify your client. Your client should not be able to hear that or see that and know that you are talking about them in their situation. However, how can you take that situation and transition it so that it applies to a mass market and they understand and learn something from it and find value in you and see you as the authority? Because many of you have what I call letters after your name. Am I right or am I right? You have letters after your name. That's going to give you a certain amount of authority already. So what you want to do is a little different than most of my clients. What you want to do is you want to bring some humanization to those letters. You want to show that you are friendly, that you have good quote unquote bedside manner. And so you want to create content that shows how you help your clients through messy mediations, right? So that they come out and they're doing everything in the best interest of the children and everybody walks away happy, if that's what you do, right? How to get what they want when maybe they didn't bring as much financially to the relationship, but they assisted in other ways. And so how you do that is going to be one of two ways, right? You are going to either pull customers in, which is your magnetized marketing, also known as attraction marketing. And then there's also push marketing, right? I like to lean heavily on the attraction, on the magnetized marketing with your content, but you can't get a lot of conversions if you're just strictly doing that. So I like to be anywhere between 60 to 80% magnetized and the remainder being push. Okay. So that means if I create a posting schedule, out of 10 posts, 6 to 8 are going to be attraction and 2 are going to have a very stiff, I hate to use the word stiff, but a very strong call to action, driving them to reach out to me or go to the quote unquote link in bio to download something to go to the next step in what's called the buyer's journey or to schedule that consultation. In the breakout rooms, Neil and Luba and I were talking about how I love to use attorneys as examples of this because attorneys like to, in TV commercials, they don't say, hey, here's our rate. Here's how much our retainer is. What do they say? They drive you to call them and schedule a consultation, and then they close you in the consultation. And that is how we properly use social media. We are going to drive them offline either to download a PDF guidebook or a PDF ebook or a checklist. I can see a lot of you using some sort of checklist. If you're thinking about divorce, here are the things that you need to do. If you have started divorce, here are the top 5 hidden assets that you need to look for and ask for documentation on. Those are samples of what we call a lead magnet, which allow you to collect names and emails. Okay. And so, as I said, 6 to 8 pieces out of 10 are going to be attraction, and that can be a call to action. And then the remaining, 4 to 2 pieces are going to be, you know what, call us for a consultation. Let us help you. Okay. And so in magnetized marketing, that is defined as a strategy that attracts customers by creating valuable content and experiences tailored to their needs and interests. We just covered that, right? And mobilized, your push marketing, is a strategy that involves assertive grassroots efforts, including intentional and purposeful networking campaigns and direct outreach. Okay. One of the things that I really have to get my clients over in the beginning is that if you are launching your practice, for example, you're actually going to be heavier on the mobilized marketing because you need a customer base. You need a customer more than you need a lead. Okay. And so that means you're going to have to be more active, which is the intentional and purposeful networking, the campaigns and direct outreach. And then once you have those clients and you've got testimonials, you've got white papers, you've got case studies, you've got social proof, now you have more to go to social media with and pull in more clients. Okay. So let's talk about the difference in the primary goal. When it comes to your magnetized marketing, the primary goal is to draw the audience in organically by creating content that aligns with their desires or problems. And when you are pushing, you're going to drive action through direct and often assertive communication and grassroots efforts aimed at creating immediate and sustained engagement. So you might run a referral campaign. You reach out within your network, and who do you know? When we were in the breakout room, Neil wanted to know, where am I? I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And he and Luba were like, we don't have a chapter there. Who do you know? That is direct outreach. It was direct, it was assertive, but it didn't give me the ick. I was more than happy to say, let me go through my network and see who it is that I know, and I will send you some names of people that I know. And I'm having such a great experience here. I will take it a step further, and I will even do a soft handoff and make the introduction for you. That's my networking style, right? So don't think direct has to be the ick. It has to be pushy. It can be done very gentlemanly, very gentlewomanly. Okay. So your content approach for your magnetized marketing is going to be very educational, informative, or entertaining that resonates with the audience's interest. So I'm going to give you some examples from TikTok. Okay. So there is a divorce attorney from Texas, and she has that Southern drawl. She's a very classy and glamorous lady, and she just tells stories. She tells stories about her clients and how one client tried to put, not the client, the soon-to-be ex tried to put everything in his mama's name, and they got the forensic accounting and discovered that the cash apps, it was really him, and it didn't work out well for him. It was a very engaging and entertaining story, but her client and the ex and the mama were all de-identified. So that is a great way to, again, you are the content. And I always tell people the content is already in your phone. In your case, it's already in your book of business. The content is there. You have the stories, you have the social proof, you have the case studies and the white papers. And when it comes to your push marketing, it's going to be more purposeful campaigns where it's grassroots efforts and assertive networking aimed at building strong community driven support and action. Who are your centers of influence? We already kind of talked a little bit about that. Who are your centers of influence? What can you do within your own existing clients? How can you pull them in? How can you get referrals from them? How can you thank them? How can you, because, I work with a lot of consumable products. Your client might be, a serial divorcee. That could be. Hopefully not, though, right? So your client is going to have a life cycle. So once you've completed work for them, you're likely, in most cases, to maybe only complete work for them maybe one other time, if that. And so how do you maximize the opportunity when you have them in front of you to get to their network? So I've given you some examples on social media that come from real life. There's also this really sad case out east. This couple, they just were not getting along, and the husband was, from what I saw on social media, was very horrible to this wife, and the kids were being used as pawns. And the wife, unfortunately, wound up taking her own life because things just got really, really nasty, right? And so that's an opportunity to do what I call newsjacking, taking something that is already trending, and then you take it and you apply your own professional expertise to that situation, and you can get a lot of views, right? Now, I know what you may be thinking, well, I'm only licensed in this state or that state. I may not be licensed in all these other states, or I may not have the paralegal support in these other states. So then how do you monetize it? Well, that's when you can create your own digital products, your own products that you charge 20, 30, 100, even a couple $100 for, so that the client can maybe do the work themselves, or they can go out and find the professional to do the work for them. Okay. So when it comes to engagement, your customers will engage willingly with your magnetized marketing, often seeking out the content or brand for answers, inspiration, or connection. Or they may do like I do, just come across it and they really enjoy the content. And then when they know someone who is going through a situation, they will refer that person either directly to your content or to you. So you never know. We were talking about 6 degrees of separation. You never know who knows who. Just because I'm in Wisconsin doesn't mean that I don't know people where you are who may need your services. Okay. And when it comes to the push, your customers are mobilized through intentional efforts, often feeling part of the larger movement or community that encourages active participation. So there's that word movement. So you can start a movement where you never want to see children being used as a pawn, and you can create an entire social media campaign around that. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm not even saying that's valid. It's just an example off the top of my head, okay? So you take that and you do what you will with it, okay? So your value proposition for your attraction marketing or magnetized marketing is going to focus on building long-term relationships by providing value first and leading to brand loyalty and trust. You can think as big as you want. You may want to be thinking about life and retirement and funding life and retirement beyond your practice. And social media marketing can open that up for you, and content creation. Brands may begin to reach out to you. They probably most likely will, for you to collaborate with them on things that their ideal client, which is also your ideal client in some overlapping fashion, may be interested in, right? Because you're building this audience on social media. And by the way, not all of them are ever going to become your clients. So another way to monetize them. When it comes to the push, when it comes to the mobilize, your value proposition is going to focus on creating immediate and impactful connections through assertive outreach and grassroots campaigns that align with community values and goals. So that may be having a booth at farmers markets, or I'm in Milwaukee where there is a street festival every weekend in the summer, and people like me love to be at those events. And so that is how you get your brand out there. That is how people get to know you. It may be in taking out an ad in a church bulletin or in some other community organization program that they are having, or sponsoring a table at a silent auction for a cause related to where your ideal client may be involved in that or benefiting from it. Okay. So when it comes to timing for your pull in marketing, your content marketing, your attraction, your magnetized marketing, it's going to be a longer process. And that is why I advise startups to be heavier on the push. Because if you're trying to start up with just the attraction and you don't have the customer base, you don't have a very large budget, you probably are not going to get the plane off of the ground. It takes a lot of momentum and time and patience and willingness to fail and get up and try again if you want to go heavy on the attraction side in the beginning, and it's just not advisable. I was a licensed professional, so I still follow the prudent man rule. And so the prudent man rule to me says if you are a startup, you want to lean much heavier on the push side, which means you're going to be doing 60 to 80% push. And that means a lot of offline, a lot of direct contact sport, talking to your network and those that they refer you to, and then still putting content out there as you are building, so that once you have those case studies, the white papers, the social proof, and more of the content that's organic to you and your client base, you can get that out there. And so when you have an immediate need, you're going to rely a lot heavier on that push strategy. Okay. Both are highly effective. Neither is more effective than the other. Okay. Both the attraction marketing is going to be highly effective in building strong, loyal community around your brand, just like TV. And then your push is going to be highly effective in creating a dedicated and mobilized community that actively supports and promotes the brand's goals. Okay. So that paid customer who is satisfied, who had an excellent experience, is going to be your best marketing tool. And speaking of that, your customer experience for attraction is going to be perceived as helpful, non-intrusive, and customer-centric, where when you are pushing, it should be assertive and purpose-driven, often fostering a sense of belonging and active participation in a cause or community, that whole know, like, and trust. Okay, so let's move down here to which is best suited. Your magnetized marketing is going to be best suited to aiming to build long-term brand equity, thought leadership, and community engagement. And push is going to be best suited for businesses or movements looking to build a dedicated community, drive advocacy, and communicate impactful change through assertive grassroots efforts. It's never a question of which, it's a matter of how much of each one. It's always both. And with that, I will open it up to any questions.
This is awesome and a lot of information.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So, when you're first engaging with a client, how do you do an assessment of their business and how to find that balance?
Sure. I'm trying to stop the screen. Why is it not saying stop screen? Am I still sharing my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, it doesn't, I don't see stop. Oh, there it is. Stop share. Okay, so when I am meeting with my client, I tend to do a discovery call, right? There's a couple things that happen here. When people find me on social media, they tend to know a lot because what I find, my conversion on social media is usually anywhere from, some people escalate pretty quickly, meaning they become a client very quickly. But there are others, what I find typical of social media. Number one, the people who convert never like or comment. I don't even know they're there until they show up in my inbox. It's so important to know that because there may be times when you feel like you're speaking to a room that's empty, but believe me, they are watching. Okay. So even if only 10 people saw, that's the equivalent of getting 10 people on a Zoom, like right now. Just always remember that. And so there, those people who are engaging anonymously, it's in some cases been 2 years that they were watching me before they reached out. Okay. So keep that in mind. And your client is probably vacillating back and forth on going through divorce because it's usually not a very easy decision. So for me, when a client comes to me or a prospective client comes to me, either they have been watching long enough to really have made a decision and they just want to have a brief confirmation with me to ease the butterflies in their stomach, or what I do is I offer some sort of audit, some sort of analysis, some sort of diagnostic, as you've mentioned, so that I have a foundation, a basis in order to help them with maybe something on a smaller side before we go for something big. So that can be a website audit. How is their SEO? How is their, do they have a conversion? Their, what I call digital marketing infrastructure set up. It can be a social media audit, going through their social media posts and auditing and giving a diagnostic of, is their social media balanced? Is it more magnetized? Is it more mobilized? And what should it be? So that's pretty much how it works. Customers usually either have made an instant decision, and in that case, I'm almost trying to sell them not on me to make sure that it's what they want, because I don't like refunds and dealing with bad customer experience. Or we're doing some sort of diagnostic, because remember, I come from the world of financial services. So in financial services, you got to know your customer. You got to, run through those questionnaires to make sure you're matching them up with what's suitable for them. So I still kind of operate in very much that same fashion, even though I'm not in financial services anymore. That was a great question. Thank you. Yes, Neil.
So, while it is crystal clear to me that social media is an important place to be, certainly like with DTP, we do a lot of work on LinkedIn because of the professional community. For my coaching practice, Facebook is more appropriate, and Instagram I'm getting into, which I didn't understand until recently is a heavily slanted female audience. Um, But one thing that is also crystal clear is that you don't own anything on social media.
Absolutely.
Like you can have, 10,000 followers, and if they decide to close the door tomorrow, they're all gone. And we saw that with TikTok, right?
Yes.
Temporarily. So the thing that has to happen, therefore, it would seem to me, is that you have to use, yes, the social media to build your brand and get brand recognition and get people to know you. But more importantly, you've got to build your mailing list from
Yes.
it, right? Your mailing list you own. And whether you keep that on an Excel spreadsheet or, Constant Contact or MailChimp, whatever you use, that you own, like own it, download it, back it up in the cloud 50 times.
It's like you've been
Like you,
listening to me for 10 years.
yeah. I mean, to me, that has become more and more clear because I've determined that I've done a really poor job of building my mailing list. And I think you may have said this, and so my question is, while you don't want to sell, when you're posting, you want to give value, obviously. The whole idea of a giveaway, if you will, like you're going to give this free report and so on and so forth, is really so that you can get their email address.
Yes, absolutely. It's so that you can build your email list. And I want to say this, Neil, it's just like, when is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the next best time? Today. So it's the same thing with your email list. And we live in a world where one video can go viral. I had a thread that went viral last week, and overnight I collected 40 new leads, right? From all over the world. Okay. So you can rest assured that there is still plenty of time for you to build your list. I will also say this: do not discount your existing customer list. Anyone that you have ever done business with, go back and pay someone to, under NDA and all of that, go through and get all of that contact info, because there is a lot that you can do with that info in terms of uploading it to Facebook and creating lookalike audiences. That is, your customer list is an asset. Okay. I remember when I was in college, I went to a mom and pop tax preparer, and unfortunately, one year he passed away of cancer. We didn't know that, but they sold our files to the next tax preparer. And so it's the same thing with your email list. Your email list is an intangible, it might even be a tangible asset, because that data is king in this society that we live in. And you can upload that, and there's a lot of different things that someone like me can do with that information to get you in front of more people, like the ones who have already paid you. Okay. And so that's always going to trump a lead, right? It can be the way that you get new leads is through that list. And then you can still have time and put the attention and effort and planning into, how am I going to capture more leads on a day-to-day basis? And because here's the reality: you can rely on your content to be the lead, but the problem with that is, if you've got, say, which is a really good and excellent conversion rate at 5 to 10%, what about the 90 to 85% that weren't ready today? Right? You're never, just like Disney World, oh, only 1% of the world has ever gone to Disney World. They're never going to get to 100%. But if they can get from 1% to 1.5 on a world basis, that's huge, right? And so it's the same thing for you. What about the one who was standing in Starbucks ordering, and then just as you were giving your call to action, they were called up and now they're ordering and they're paying? How do you recapture them? Well, that is through the ability to have that lead list, along with having uploaded your existing client list to something like Facebook, and being able to retarget people who visited various, content and engaged with you in some way, shape, or form. Now, I know I got maybe a little technical, but I get excited. I'm sorry. Because people, that there's really a lot. And I know a lot of people look at social media as noise, as doom scrolling, but there is a lot of value in the data, and it is something that you were not able to get from TV and radio advertising. And that is why I jumped on the social media marketing train the way that I did, because I saw the value in it. Because I remembered being an intern fresh out of high school, going through stacks of green bar reports of data from like InfoScan, and there's so much data. Facebook back in 2014 had 2,000 data points on everybody. You'd probably want to multiply that by 100 now. That's how much data is out there, right? Neil, did you have another question? I see your hand is up.
I did. I just one follow-up question, and that is, given the forgot the word that they use to damn it, given the fact that your stuff is not seen by a lot of people, what is it when they do that? The social media
Well,
sites?
they either throttle it or they do sometimes shadow ban, but they basically, especially platforms like Facebook and Instagram, they're only going to show you
Yeah.
to a small number of people because they want you to pay for ads.
Right, exactly. So do you have to pay? Do you think you need to pay or boost posts? Or what's your opinion on paying for stuff?
It really depends on your strategy, and that's part of what comes out when I do the diagnostic and making recommendations. We can look at ad budget. Boosting it is literally that. You're going to boost it, you're going to give it more weight and get in front of more people. If you want to go immediate to mobilize marketing, I don't recommend that most people do that, because we have to do a lot of testing to make sure that you're going to get bang for your buck. And a lot of people that I work with, their budget, they really need to get results from it, not test with it. And so it really depends on each specific situation, and sitting down and having the conversation and figuring it out. I will say this, especially on Facebook, you're looking at about $1,000, $750 to $1,000 per month ad budget. And in the beginning, it's pretty much building brand awareness and collecting leads, and not necessarily converting them for a good 4 to 6 months. Any other questions? Thank you, Neil. Yes, Ty.
I have a question. I've always felt it was spammy when I'm like engaged with. So someone calls me, and they're on my follow up list. They haven't retained me yet, but they're also not. They're still an active prospect. I generally call people 8 times.
Okay.
I've been told you have to. It drops off after that, but some people take 8 touches. I don't add them to my email list until after that 8th call, because I don't want to come off as spammy. I don't want them to get something in their email that their spouse might not be aware is coming. Like, why are you getting divorce emails from a divorce lawyer? So I don't add people to my email mailing list until after they've fallen off. What do you think of that instinct?
Well, I would say a couple things. One, I'm all about permission-based email marketing. So I really prefer for the client to physically opt in themselves, not the client, but the lead to physically opt in themselves, especially in states like California, because the laws there are, they mirror a lot of what the laws are in Europe. And so you really want them to opt in. Even if they gave you permission to call, you specifically want their permission, and documented to actually email them. And the majority of conversions happen between 6 to 12 touches, 6 to 12 calls. So I would say keep going. And I am a big fan of your content is a follow-up and a touch point, as well as I actually still engage very much in direct mail. I like to send out direct mail pieces, be it a calendar, an article, and I like to make it as personal and hand touch as possible. Some sort of written note or an article with a handwritten sticky note. Hey, this made me think of you, if it's applicable, right? And it really be organic and sincere. I'm a big fan of that also. So I hope that answers your question. But typically, it's 6 to 12 touches. And when we talk about from a social media marketing standpoint, when money is an issue, it's 17 to 22 touches before someone actually completes the purchase. Yes, Luba.
I'm wondering if this number of touches increased lately.
It absolutely has,
I've
because
always heard 6 to 8. Now I'm hearing more.
yeah, it definitely has. I've heard 6 to 12 for years. There's actually, like, you can Google it. There's an image out on social media where, it breaks it down. Like, the average salesperson stops calling at 2 or 4 calls, and the sale is actually made between calls 6 and 12. It's out there. But I will also say, because there's so much more data available in the palm of our hands, because we've all got these super powered computers in the palm of our hands by the way of our phone, and not only Google, but now artificial intelligence, people are taking a little bit longer to make decisions because they have more data to help them make that decision. And so you can leave it up to chance that you become part of that data, or you can take more of an active stance and get your content out there, because they're looking for it regardless of if you put the content out there or not. So that's an excellent point, Luba.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. We still have a couple of things to cover. Are there any questions?
I do want to say one more thing on the data. In 2011, and this is just across retail, people were looking at 28 pieces of data to make a buying decision. 28 pieces in 2011. It is now 2025. And I think it's closer to 100 pieces of data that they are actually looking at or engaging with, sometimes subconsciously. So just keep that in mind. You have to stay in front of people.
Of data,
meaning reviews, meaning conversations, meaning videos, meaning advertisements in magazines, on TV, on radio, but multiple pieces of data.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. I think it was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. These were excellent questions.
Thank you. Now I wanted to chat with everyone. One person who was gonna make